WandaVision, Episode 8. Previously on. Yeah, penultimate's here. We got one more left. It feels like the show just got here, man. But it's leaving again. Ugh, man. It's great. This show just remains to be consistently awesome and doing something I don't think anybody's expecting. This episode was no different. It was brilliantly crafted, a smart idea to give you the depth that the character kind of needed at this point in the story. We're getting closure to some arcs, we're getting some answers to some arcs, and I also think it's going to make a lot of people upset. Because they are going into this with the expectation it's going to be like every other Marvel fanfare, and it's just going to be a bunch of like explosions and colorful lights doing stuff. This show was never billed as being the action-heavy series. It was billed as the sitcom. You're gonna go in, hijinks will ensue, you're gonna go, ooh, that's a weird angle to go to, but hey, Dick Van Dyke, hey, Bewitched, hey, Malcolm in the Middle. It never tried to be anything other than those, and it never had to. This episode was brilliant. It was so fun, so interesting. An actual great breakdown of the character of Wanda. Like, we're seeing how she is feeling, what she is doing. She's going through grief, how she is reacting to everything in her world. It is absolutely incredible. And I'm impressed we got it on television. This is why the future for Marvel is Disney+. You have moments like this that can happen in an episode. How many times have we watched a Marvel show where we just rushed past the emotional beats sometimes in order to get to the action? It's happened a lot, but now we're going to dedicate 40 minutes of a show to the aftermath of the consequences of everything Wanda did. And we're going to see how she reacts to everything in her life through the lens of talking to a therapist, essentially. It's really cool. It's really smart, and it was so nice to see this. Great moments for everyone involved in this episode. Absolutely amazing. So we open up this episode. We are in 1693. We're seeing the Salem witch trials pretty much, and there goes Agatha Harkness doing the bad thing. And we don't get more than that, really. We just see she goes against her coven. They try to kill her. She absorbs their powers. She kills them all. She lives forever, comes to find Wanda. And I think the idea at play is, I don't know how to confirm this or say that's actually what's going on here, but I think the idea at play is that Agatha wants to figure out how Wanda used her powers so she can do the same thing. Because when we cut back to the present day, we start with the monologue of Agatha just here I'm amazed, It took me years to master this simple changing spell, and she turns the fly that we all thought was Mephisto into a bird, and the rabbit eats the bird, and you're just that's awesome. Good. I don't need to see Mephisto in this. I think we all went into the show with the expectations, Mephisto, Nightmare, Doctor Strange, all these evil things happening at once. We're all just going for that intense thing. This is just a character dealing with her grief and coming to terms with her loneliness, which is all the show needed to be. It's that's intimate, that's scary, and that's realistic. So yeah, I don't care if there's no other big character in here. You have the guise of Agatha Harkness, a character who is technically associated with Wanda in the comics, so I'm okay with it. Give me more of that. I'm on board. So yeah, Agatha just giving her little spiel, showing how she uses her magic and how she uses her witch powers, which is kind of exciting to see. She's not a sorcerer. She is a witch, which is kind of something I like the clarification for. I know there's some people saying maybe Baron Mordo's going to show up. I don't think so. I think we're just going to be dealing with some grief right now, which is kind of cool to see. So Agatha's got the kids. She's trying to get Wanda to figure out her truth and reveal some stuff to her. But Wanda still doesn't know what she's doing or what her powers are exactly. And we get a nice episode, therapist talking to her patient, just going through the past traumas of Wanda Maximoff. And what I like about this too is that is such a comic book thing to do. How many comic books have we read where we go inside the character's mind to reveal their past and how it made them screwed up in the present? We do that all the time. Even in television, we do that. So I like that it's sticking on par with the tropes of the genre. Everything's done that. It's got that Christmas Carol feels like the first thing that really did that. But now it's just perfect. You're just, yes, let's go do this. Let's have fun. I thought that was great. So we go to some of the past traumas of Wanda Maximoff. We go to when the day her parents died and they're watching TV, and we see that the reason she puts it into a sitcom show is because her family watched sitcoms and learn in order to speak English and learn how to speak English. Works for me, man. Makes sense to me. I'm sure that happened to a lot of people. That is pretty much the immigrant story, so that works for me. I liked it a lot. Her dad hides the special one that Wanda likes the most, which is the Dick Van Dyke Show. They put on the episode, season 2, episode 14, I think. Something, the Way of the Walnut, I think is what it's called. I can't remember, but that's great. And the idea in that episode is something crazy happens and it's all a dream. It's kind of like what present-day Wanda is mirroring when she's watching the events. So her family's watching it. It's not the same family that we saw in the commercials, which I think a lot of people were expecting. But we see that, the Stark, a missile comes in, the house is destroyed, the parents are gone. Her and Pietro are cowering under a table for 2 days, just waiting for the Stark missile to blow up. But it doesn't, which I think this is the reference we got in Age of Ultron about, what happened to them, which is cool to see. That was really fun. So the dead parents, that's part of your trauma. Then we cut to something a little later where she's being experimented on by Hydra and she has her first interaction with the Mind Stone and she's like this weird version of like a witch inside there that we can't really make out, which is pretty cool. They really did a good job of making Elizabeth Olsen look disheveled in this Hydra scene. Wow. I was just like, I know that's her and I know she didn't lose the weight, but they really figured out how to make her look just like malnourished in there. I was like, that's very impressive. I gotta commend them for that. That was really cool to see. A great scene too. It's like, okay, so there's your interaction with the Mind Stone. Now you're starting to figure some stuff out. Agatha's like, okay, so how did you do this X thing? Let's go back. Your parents died. You had an interaction with the Mind Stone. And my favorite scene of the entire episode, we go to the events after Age of Ultron. Wanda is alone in the room at Avengers Tower. She's watching Malcolm in the Middle. And Vision comes in. And this is where you're like, this is where the love perseveres, man. This is where these two are supposed to be together. Because he comes in, he's trying to be nice to her and help with her grief and how to feel things. But she's like, I don't know. I just feel all this pain and this sadness because my brother died. And this line, this line, man, was so good. As a writer, you just pick out those little moments. Is just something I think is so impactful and amazing. And the line that Vision says, trying to make her feel better, is grief is love persevering. That's amazing. That is such a good line. That is strong writing. That is a strong character moment, a strong line that you're just like, yeah, that's the whole thesis of this show. That is what this show is saying. Through your grief, the love will persevere and bring you out of your dark spiral. That is what this show is saying. That is everything this is doing. Oh, man. Absolutely brilliant. I loved every second of that. I thought it was incredibly well done. Super cool to see that. And that's when Agatha was like, okay, so it's this guy. He's the one that can bring you out of your darkness because love perseveres. He's the last thing you love in this world. So when you come back from the snap and he's been dead and you can't find his body, we see that event too. So in I think episode 4, we saw the altered footage of Wanda coming in to take Vision. And that's not the case at all. That's not the case at all. So she comes in, she just wants to say goodbye. Because that's that's the conclusion of her arc at this point. She just wants to say goodbye to the man she loved, and she can't because it's the vibranium. He's just he's being experimented on. We get that nice image of the body of Vision, which is very dark to see, just his decapitated head on the table. And she's trying to I can't feel you here. It's sad. It is very sad and heartbreaking, heart-wrenching. That's it. That's the entirety of this show, is she's just trying to accept the loss of her husband, and then suddenly she loses control of it. That is perfectly summed up of the experience of grief and death and everything like that. I'm just blown away. Blown away. That's really smart and really intelligent. I can't believe it. I think that's so cool. We got that on a Marvel show where we're actually taking this opportunity to have death be this impactful thing and have meaning to these characters. That's so cool. I love it. I just love it so much. So, Hayward's just a dick. We know he's a dick. We're not going to dwell on that, but we know he's a dick. And Agatha's just okay. You lost your dad. You lost your mom. You lost your brother. You lost your boyfriend. You literally have nothing left in this world. And then you come here to Westview, and suddenly what? So we see her going to Westview. She's got a map from Vision that's this is where we'll grow old together. It's a map of a home they're going to build, and Wanda steps inside it, and she just kind of finally breaks down. All of her power just exudes out everywhere. She just destroying the town and morphing into her own image where she can be happy, which feels very realistic. You know what? I was kind of against them being Wanda's not the villain, but I like her the victim, because that's pretty accurate too. If Wanda's not the villain, she should be the victim, which I think is pretty cool because that is how you build up to her becoming the ultimate power in the Marvel Universe, which I really like to see that. So that was fun. It's kind of cathartic for the character, and I think it's cathartic for the audience too, because we're like, oh, this is it? Okay. Where's Mephisto? Where's Magneto? Like, nope, that's never what this was billed as. That's not the Fox Pietro. He's Fietro, as they called him. Fietro. It's none of that shit. It's a woman dealing with her grief after losing everything in the world that she ever loved, and how is that love going to persevere and bring her out of her downward spiral? That's the entirety of the show. I don't think it needs to be anything more than that. I don't think it deserves to be anything more than that. It's just a nice little piece that's just making me smile. I think it's brilliant. So we see her take over Westview and how it starts like that era of the 50s. We see her morph the Vision from her powers, and he is not real. He's just a manifestation of her. Something she thought she could control, but she can't. And it's pretty cool. It's nice. Very sad, very satisfying at the same time. I think we should get more like this. It just made me really happy to see that. So that was pretty nice to see. Agatha kind of helping her through the trauma. Not really in a way that's like, oh, I'm going to give you your resolution to all this. And we're like, how did you do this? I need to know. Maybe it's for Mephisto. Maybe it's not. Who gives a shit at this point? I don't care. I love Catherine Hahn in this. She really pulled it off. She really captured that essence of like trying to be like the snarky therapist type who's like, get over this, girl. Like, everyone's been through shit. But also, how did you do it? Because you're pretty powerful. It's kind of scary that you did this, which is pretty satisfying to see. I love this episode a lot. We end it, we see the kids are being strangled pretty much with a rope by Agatha, and she's like, you are, what are we, some kind of Scarlet Witch? It's that kind of a line. It's like, you have chaos magic, you are a scary being, you are so powerful and dangerous, look what you did to everybody in this world, you are truly a Scarlet Witch. It's one of those kind of lines that we end things on, and I like it. I think it's a strong line, it's a strong moment. We're finally calling her Scarlet Witch, which, about time. She was never called it before, so now I'm like, yep, I'm on board for it. I can't wait to see how this is going to end and what kind of costume she's going to get. Very satisfying, very cool. I love it. I actually loved it. I think this was a really well-crafted episode. Very long, too, compared to the other ones. But it needed to be, this is just like, here's every answer that you dumb audience members don't know. Now, is this episode mandatory for the overall story? I don't know. I like the sitcom stuff, but I think for the audience who just doesn't know what's going on, you needed this. So they could feel the resonation with Wanda as a character, and they can understand this is not going to be billed as the action thing. This is the character losing her mind and trying to persevere through that pain, which is really cool. Post-credit scene, White Vision. We all saw that coming. I don't think it's a shock to anybody. Looks cool, looks fascinating, but this show has just surprised me in more ways than I expected, so I'm very happy to say WandaVision Episode 8, the penultimate episode, was good. Was really good, actually. Very impressive. Love is so powerful, and through your grief is the one thing we can think about is love perseverance, which is very cool, very exciting, absolutely mind-bendingly good. I love it so much. Elizabeth Olsen, Catherine Hahn, Paul Bettany, they're all doing great. They're all doing great. So that is my review of WandaVision. Now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe. Good luck.